Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, I want to talk about one of our sponsors here on the network, Legacy Financial. Legacy Financial last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and need some help, or if you're doing well and want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn money part-time, give them a call. Call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. You can find them on social media at Twitter at legacy_uncut or Instagram at sims_uncut. Please do give them a call. Well, the Sweet 16 is going on right now. Gonzaga still staying perfect. Houston winning big today, or yesterday, I should say. And we'll talk about that and a whole bunch more. Also, the trade deadline happened today. A couple of days ago in the NBA. We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And join us as you shall tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. I got the Alabama and UCLA game in the background right now. Alabama's down by double digits, but we'll see how that shakes out because Alabama can war back a comeback here in a second. But D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Florida State just had a tough loss that just happened against Michigan. Not really too surprised. Michigan is looking pretty good. I feel like this is a Juwan Howard era beginning, so I expect a lot actually out of Michigan coming up. In fact, I got them going to the Final Four, competing with Gonzaga for championship. But yeah, man, elite, NCAA tournament is here, and the NBA has had a crazy past week, big time, especially with a trade deadline. Team trying to get trades in just because. So we definitely gotta talk about that.
Yeah. A lot of things going on right now. Like I said, you mentioned Alabama, UCLA playing right now. And UCLA is up double digits, 40-29 on the Crimson Tide. I want to shout out to the chat real quick. Taryn Rodriguez, thank you for tuning in with us. Taryn said, asking if I'm getting nervous about this game. No, not really. I watch enough of this team with Nate Oates. They don't go down quietly. So, we'll see what's happening in the second half. For UCLA, can they keep, shooting the ball well like they've been doing right now? And they've been well defending and stuff like that. They're just hitting shots right now. But my thing, for this game coming the second half, can they keep this up? And can they, if Alabama make a comeback, weather the storm? So, we'll see it going to halftime right now. So we'll see how this game shakes up then. Lots of things to talk about tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just hop into it. A lot of things to discuss. The NCAA tournament is going on. Sweet 16 weekend is happening. Like you mentioned, D-Lock, Florida State losing against Michigan, in which Florida State had been playing their best ball come this tournament. Did you agree with that?
One thing I know about Florida State for the longest, Jonathan Isaac here, Dwayne Bacon, Patrick Williams, a lot of these guys, for years and years, this team has been known to play pretty solid all the way through the season and, play good to the ACC tournament and then get in the middle of the NCAA tournament and fold. So for me, this is not anything new. I mean, they look very well, during the season, getting a lot of key victories, making their big rival Florida look like they're nowhere near competition with them, and, they get to the tournament, it's just like they're a totally different team. I'm not understanding. It's like it's a peaking thing, right? It's like they're, playing good very well, and then all of a sudden, they're nowhere to be seen come the beginning or come the tournament. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, I think that's very interesting. I think that's something that needs to be tuned in and noticed. A lot of people, a lot of fans, notice this about them. Another team, I think I told you about it before, that does this a lot is Gonzaga. But this Gonzaga team looks like a hell of a different team as we've seen earlier. So, this could be a different team moving forward. But to the Florida State thing, it's, man, I'm used to a good season, good regular season, good ACC tournament, and then NCAA tournament comes around, and they just look like a totally different squad.
Yeah, it's like, watching this Florida State team in this tournament, going back to like last weekend, it's just like, y'all kind of shaky here,
Yeah.
Struggle against UNC Greensboro, and then you come in that following Monday. Played well in the second half, just enough to beat Colorado by double digits. Then, you fast forward, to today, against Michigan, a way better squad.
Right.
And you get beat by almost by 20 points. And that's the results you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, even though we know, what Michigan has been looking like all year, but Florida State has been looking pretty good as well. They got in foul trouble early. So, you get in foul trouble early now, a lot of these different situations is hard to get out of. But, like I said, when it comes to tournament time, they just don't look the same. I mean, it's something that continues to happen. And I honestly don't know how you can fix that. I'll just maybe, we talked about it. We talked about it last show of basically being ready when you really need to. You have some teams that struggle during the season, and they're ready to go come the tournament. So the goal is to get in the tournament. Once you get in the tournament, everything that, now is one and done. So now if you can peak at the right time, this is what, and we talked about it, the reason why we see a lot of Cinderella teams, every year is because there's a team that may not look great earlier, but they start getting that chemistry, and it may be a team that nobody's talking about, and they're just starting to click on all cylinders against the better teams, and they're knocking off the top seed, the number 3 seed, all these other seeds, and we'll talk about it. It happens on the women's side as well. So that's something that Florida State needs to definitely check out and look into.
Definitely agree. And, it seems like, Florida State, I guess, administration and athletic director, it seems like they're content with Leonard Hamilton just getting to the tournament. As long as he makes Sweet 16, Elite 8, I don't think he's not going to be touched.
Nope.
And, with the athletes and high draft picks that have come through that program over the past few years, you kind of expect more. Would you say?
And that's and I definitely agree with you. I mean, there's countless guys, right, that Florida State has had, and it's like, well, damn, like, y'all don't have no championship there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a lot of guys that come through here. I mean, just to name, like I told you, just name a couple, a few. You got Dwayne Bacon, Jonathan Isaac, who was a stud, who was actually hurt right now. Malik Beasley, who was playing very good, who just got cleared come back. Terrence Mann, Devin Vassell. These just are a couple guys right now. Patrick Williams. These are the guys, that are there now. One big name that does stick out that not many people talk about is Sam Cassell. This just goes way back. So, all of these different guys that come through here, and it's like, okay, where is the title to go along with it? So for me, that's what you that's what it boils down. That's the difference between the Florida States and the Duke and the Kentucky and the North Carolina. They got a lot of guys in the league, but they got the history of winning the championship at those respective schools. So, it's good to say you got a couple guys in the NBA. Hell, it's the same thing in the NFL. We hear about a lot of big time names like the SEC, the Bama, the LSU, but them boys got titles behind those. They're coming from winning universities. So, I mean, I would think at some point, titles would be very important, but I mean, we'll see when this comes around for Florida State. But it's just, like I said, every time we get in the tournament, you freeze. Another team that's kind of similar to like that is Tennessee. Tennessee may play very well all season long, and they get into the tournament and they freeze up. I remember they played against Evan Turner in Ohio State a while back. I believe Tobias was a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, there that year. John Wall was at Kentucky that year, and they lost to Ohio State. So these are just, like I said, good teams. Florida State is one of those teams that have, a good amount of players that's in the NBA, and we're like, wow, okay. But no title in college, behind on that resume for any one of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then, looking at these other games that happened Saturday, Oregon State, Loyola Chicago. Oregon State playing very well, been real hot since Pac-12 tournament. Watching that game, Loyola Chicago wasn't shooting the ball very well in that first half.
Nope.
And they very struggled, and wide open shots at that. And then come second half, they played better, but you kind of wish, a couple of those 3-pointers that you were wide open with, or in that first half, kind of went in. You talk about a different ball game, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you about Oregon State. Does this run that they got going on right now remind you of that South Carolina run a few years ago when they made the Final Four?
It does. Now, what I think did play a part in the part of this run is Loyola was one of the teams that put off a shocker to get to play them. So, but Oregon State looks like they're like I said before in the segment before, they're on fire. They're clicking on all cylinders. So, they're going to be hard to beat for anybody. Now we know you got the bigger name teams or higher ranked teams. That they are going to play. Like I think Houston is going to be a team that they're going to really have to buckle down on and click on all cylinders. But just like we said, Loyola had a struggle early. Oregon State can have that against Houston. So, which they're clicking so well, it's a slim chance that happens. But this does remind me a little bit of it. It's just interesting to see how far this goes. But this is the great thing about NCAA tournament. To be honest with you, it'd be very interesting to see if this was a similar way that the NBA went, a one and done. Dude, like, just imagine if there's no full 7-game series, or there's one game in the NBA. So, hell, the same thing in the NFL. The Giants beat the Patriots with a 6 seed. They beat the undefeated Patriots, being the 6th seed in the playoffs. So, this team right now, Oregon State, they're looking like their confidence is growing. Every game that they win, their confidence is growing. And if they can continue this, we might see, right now, like I told you earlier, my FanDuel, I got Gonzaga winning the whole thing. But if this team can click, well, you never know. And that's what makes, this bracket, this tournament so interesting.
And then, Baylor, Villanova. Baylor winning against Baylor yesterday, 62-51 in that matchup. Baylor, I think I discussed before, I predicted we are going to see that matchup between them and Gonzaga in the championship game that we didn't get a chance to see on back in December. But kind of see Baylor kind of, they had some scraps here, coming through this tournament. Could Baylor win one more game to make it to the Final Four? Do you see that happen against Oregon State?
Baylor? Dude, Baylor looks very good right now. They look like they're clicking on everything right now. So they Villanova, like I told you, Villanova is one team that always shows up, in the tournament, and they had control of that game, for the most part. I think they struggled at halftime; they were down by like 5, and they came back and just took over within minutes. So for me, I see Baylor making a strong push. They got Arkansas tomorrow, correct?
Who, Baylor?
Yeah.
They have it's Arkansas tomorrow.
Yeah, so Arkansas can be tough, but I don't see it as a big problem for them. To be honest, I feel like the biggest hurdle was them playing Villanova. I think that Baylor will get past Arkansas. To be honest with you, I believe that could be the last game on the slate tomorrow, to cap off the Monday games of the tournament. But Baylor's looking really good. And, like I said, they've been looking solid all year long. And, this is the chance. They beat Wisconsin. That looked pretty confidential, easy. And then come back and play Villanova. So, I definitely, like I said, I definitely see them beating Arkansas and getting, and getting to the Final Four.
Yeah, I think with the Arkansas matchup, and they had a tough one against the Cinderella of this year, Oral Roberts. And, Arkansas being a young team as they are, with guys like, I'm forgetting the kid's name right now, it's the tip of my tongue. With Moses Moody, in the fold, who shot 4 for 20 against Oral Roberts over 3 for a 3-point line. He got to shake that game off, and you got to shoot way better against this Baylor team. If you got any chance of going back to the Final Four since the mid-90s, since 96, I believe, then 4 for 20 from the field is not going to cut it. And plus having 4 fouls, they ain't going to cut it.
Nope.
Same thing with Tate. He had 4 fouls as well for Arkansas, but he had 22 points. But I think if those two play very well, stay out of foul trouble, they could get Baylor a run. I agree with you in the sense, I think Baylor should come out on top, but if those two in that backcourt get on, they can play anybody around the country.
Yeah, I mean that's my thing. I see them being one of those teams that can really, play with anybody, and you really I mean, with their confidence grows, you don't really want to see them. They look kind of scary.
And then lastly, for Saturday's matchup, Houston beat Syracuse 62-46. So that Syracuse run they had, kind of the sand ran out. Buddy Boeheim, who's shooting very well those first two games in the tournament, 1 for 9 for 3-point land, had 12 points, then really with the hot streak like he was on. Gerard, same thing. He wasn't shooting the ball very well as well. Houston got double-double out of Gorham, 13 and 10. So, Houston, Kelvin Sampson, he has done a great job of that program ever since he has taken that over. So, for Houston, should they, I know it's, especially for Kevin Sampson, for what he did at Oklahoma and Indiana. Does he keep his team in the right set of mind, knowing that I've been in this position before with this group in a school that hasn't been in this position since the 80s? Can Kevin Sampson take this group to the Final Four and possibly win the thing? What do you think about that?
There. It's funny we talk about one another team. We just got Texas actually. It's getting down to the wire. These. I was expecting maybe more points out of that game against Syracuse. 62. I was bad. It wasn't. I guess it wasn't. Fireworks, shall I say? But they got it done. I mean, it was clearly a 16-point win. I think they can get there, but I do believe they're going to be in a dogfight with Oregon State. We talked about before, Oregon State is starting to click. Houston is as well. It's just that now we're talking about one step to that next, to the Final Four. I mean, that's just where we are. For me, I didn't really like Syracuse this year. I don't know how you felt about them, but I didn't really like them. I didn't think that they were the Syracuse that we know and love. You know what I'm saying? Like the Syracuse that we're used to. So, it was a good win, but not something for me to just be, all of a sudden crazy over. So, I think this is going to be one of the toughest games coming up. I really feel like Oregon State is, like I said, they're collecting all cylinders right now. This is the chance for Oregon State to make that move, and Houston's going to be in the way, and vice versa. So, I think Houston can get there, but it's going to be something that we definitely. It's going to be an eye opener. So, let me see. And they play exactly tomorrow at 7. So I'll be off of work to catch that game. But try to get the Buffalo Wild and watch it. So it's going to be a very interesting game. Like I said, Oregon State is coming in with all that momentum, so Houston got to be ready.
Yeah, and to Syracuse against Houston. I mean, Syracuse they played that zone 2-3 or 3-2, depending on the matchup, and with Boeheim, he loves those long, athletic, lanky forwards. So, I mean, he hasn't had that caliber of athlete for the past few years, but you know, he's gonna suffocate you with that defense. And what we saw the first two games, if when his son's on fire, hey, everything's going great. But we're kind of seeing against Houston, if he ain't on hitting, and then they not making enough stops against Houston, that's the results you're gonna get.
Right.
So, just depend on his son to carry him through. I just didn't see that all the way in my eyes. And if they did win that game, against against Houston, then they play Oregon State. I really don't know how that will shake up in that matchup. In my eyes, maybe he could have got going. Maybe they could have played enough strong defense to kind of put a stop to Oregon State. But I just didn't trust his son to carry him all the way like that.
Yeah, I mean he played he played very well. It was especially against West Virginia, wasn't it? So
yep.
He played very good, and he did a lot. But we're used to a Syracuse team that come in the tournament ranked top 5, top 4 in their region. So this is not a usual Q's team that I'm always seeing. So maybe they use that momentum, to get through San Diego State, to get through West Virginia. But as the quote says, the buck stops here, or the bus stops here, and Houston took over. They did their job, and now they're gonna have to play an Oregon State team that's coming in with a lot of heat.
I definitely agree. And then Bama's back in the second half, and they turned the ball over quickly in the first half. So this game's up, back and rolling. If I apologize if I scream and stuff like that or holler at these players.
Listen, we want you. Listen, the people that are watching, you have to understand that we fans as well. So the feed that you get, we're definitely, we fans want to hear that. We love the game just as everybody else that is listening. It's hard to do both. So, but it's like that. Look like they're having a struggle game early, but that's Bama. They start knocking them shots down and stop turning the ball over. Should be fine.
And before we move on to the NBA trade deadline talk, Taryn saying he got Oregon State beating Houston tomorrow. That could happen. And like I mentioned earlier, hey, this is kind of got that South Carolina run a few years ago, so I could see that happening. So
I do.
So hey, I think you're Taryn. Hey, that's a good pick right there. I won't be surprised that happens. So we'll keep our eye on this stuff, and we'll kind of comment live with this Alabama game going on right now. Also tonight, you got Oregon and USC. Who you got in that matchup, real quick, D-Lock? Rebound.
Well, that's a tough one. To be honest with you, I really like how Oregon has been looking. I mean, even though they look really good against Iowa to me. If you ask me, they look really good. That VCU thing, we talked about that. That was that. But Oregon came out and showed that they look very impressive. USC did look very impressive also against Kansas. So, this is going to be a tough game, but I probably am going to go Oregon. For them to put up 95 against Iowa, number 2 team, shows what they can do. So this is going to be a high-scoring game, but these two teams know each other.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be, one of those, matchups that everybody on the West Coast is going to be watching.
I definitely agree. And I'll take USC in the matchup. I think, I think for what's the I forgot, I think Evan Mobley, the one potential
Yeah.
top 5 pick.
Let me see. I know I got it up here.
Kay Cunningham went out on a whimper in the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I figured, you know, he's trying to make a run and kind of solidify himself as that top pick. But he went out kind of like on a whimper here. And I was like, oh, okay. You maybe still be top pick, but, you know, there could be some discussion in here with others.
Yeah.
If Mobley could show out in this game, kind of, you know, because he ain't played too well against Oregon the past couple matchups. Play well in this game and kind of shoot the ball, Petty. I'm sorry.
Nah, but I'm watching this and I see they're down by
There we go.
7 right now.
There we go. There we go. Get on that ass. Sorry about that. Anyways, look, took a timeout. I told y'all. Look,
Down by 4.
down by 4. There you go, Huntsville. But anyways,
Nice run too.
if Mobley can show out, have a big double-double game against Oregon, I'm talking about at least 20 points and at least 11 boards or something like that. A couple blocks. You could probably inch him in that conversation in that top pick for this upcoming draft. Because like I said, Cunningham didn't separate himself from the pack like I hoped he would. Now you can, if Mobley plays well, now you can put him in that top pick. Jalen Suggs, same thing. Discussing that top pick. So I got USC for those reasons that to win against Oregon.
Yeah, and the transition to the NBA. I mean, it also depends on what teams will be picking at number 1. So it seems like there's a couple of teams that is tanking for that spot. Looking at these couple picks, so couple guys up there, but also we'll see what team's going to be up there that's looking for that spot.
Well, one of those teams is the team you root for, the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
They have done a host of moves.
Should I go to the bartender now?
I mean,
oh, yeah.
You look up and you see, okay, Vucevic getting traded to the Chicago Bulls of all teams. And you figure like, oh, wow, Chicago making that move. And then, I meant to ask you this, talk about this every day. They traded for Wendell Carter and Otto Porter and all that. And they got the 2 first round picks. But I looked, I was like, damn, what Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba in the same draft?
1 and 2, right by each other.
I was like, okay, you could have drafted this dude.
Yep.
Instead of the one that you haven't played much. I'll let you have the floor. What are your thoughts on the Vooch trade to Chicago?
We'll touch this one and then talk about the other ones. To me, I told you before, and I've said it plenty of times on the show. Anybody that's just not tuning in, go ahead and check out our shows. In the past, a big fast break. During the playoffs. Before the playoffs. Hell, even during the pandemic. When we first started about the Magic, I've been saying this for months. We rebuild every couple years. We draft bad and then rebuild again. Now, what I mean by bad is not picking a bad player, but we're picking a player that we don't need at that moment. We're not filling the holes that we need to progress. So for me, I knew hell when we could pick Mo Bamba that was a pick that we somewhat wasted. Not because Obama's a bad player, but because of what we had and then what we needed. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, who was playing outstanding this year, was in that draft. He's a hell of a point guard right now, hell of a guard.
Mm-hmm.
We're now drafted Cole Anthony this past year. Now he's hurt. We traded for Markelle Fultz. He's hurt. Now we got MCW, Michael Carter Williams, as our leading guard, and he's been hurt from time to time. Tayshaun Randall is our guard right now. So, mind you, with all this happening, you got Mo Bamba, who's averaging 9 minutes a game. Get a couple fouls here or there. So, for me, I feel like this move of trading Vooch, now they're completely rebuilding. But now you're treating Wendell Carter, who, to be honest, if you ask me, I think Wendell Carter is outstanding. Like, I've seen him before Thaddeus Young got in Chicago with the minutes, before Daniel Gafford started getting those minutes, who just got traded to the Wizards. Looked amazing. So these two, I believe, were 17 and 18 or 18 and 19 in that draft. It seems like they're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to win this competition as our future center? Because both contracts are up the same year. You got to pick which one you're going to go and give the money that you had to Vooch. You cleared up a lot of space. We're trading him and a couple other guys, which we'll talk about. Who's going to be that guy who's going to take over? Orlando played Portland, I believe, yesterday or the day before, and Mo Bamba was nowhere to be found. Cam Burge did most of the work. So I've said in the past plenty of times that this team continues to rebuild. Now, you did see, you sent Alfred, I always say Alfred, I don't know why, but Alfred Aminu, Chicago, one reason I believe is they want him to get that contract that we locked him up for, which we've done with Grant Hill, which we've done with Gilbert Arenas, which we've done with Patrick Ewing. We've given all these big-time contracts to players that didn't fold out or something has happened. We just gave Jonathan Isaac $80 million and he's hurt. Just paid Markelle Fultz and he's hurt. So, they trade Aminu with that trade. I think you get a protected top 5 pick with that. We did. But you want to see what you got between Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba. You want to see who wins that competition. But this seems like a cycle that we continuously go to every 5 to 7 years. We do this every time we get a chance. And it starts with picking Mo Bamba. If we pick a guard there and we trade back, maybe we're not in this situation. Now, we look like we're going to be in the lottery, to be honest. Hell, at this point, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Mobley, one of these guys look pretty good on an Orlando Magic uniform right now. But Chuma has been looking outstanding with his minutes. Now he's getting more. I like Dwayne Bacon, looks like a great role player. I think Terrence Ross looks like we almost traded him, to be honest with you.
FanDuel All-Star.
Yes, FanDuel All-Star. So, and he almost got traded, but, I don't know if you've seen it, but he was trending for tweeting every time somebody got traded from the Magic. So, right now, they say we're rebuilding. I'm 31. We were rebuilding when I was 28, 27. We're rebuilding again. So, for me, I just want to see where it goes. Now, I understand the competition between Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. But I've seen Wendell Carter on the court. And this dude's a monster if he gets the minutes. So, it's going to be interesting. Also, Otto Porter is another player that I really, really like, too. He just doesn't get the minutes when he was with Chicago. They had a couple guys, Thomas Satoransky was getting a lot of minutes. Kobe White, Denzel Valentine. What's the small forward they got over there? They just got Garrett Temple, Thaddeus Young there. So, Otto Porter started out hurt, and he got lost in the shuffle. So, right now, to be honest with you, Davis, I knew it was going to happen with trading Vooch. Once we drafted Mo Bamba, I knew that at some point we were going to trade him. But the fact that we traded for the pick that was right after Obama gives you even more clarity. Gives you even more clarity that they don't believe in Obama just yet, and we're gonna have to see, what happens in the rest of the season, the next season.
I'm sorry, Alabama has rolled back hard in this second half, as tied up at 40 apiece after a John Petty slam, and they are just playing. Oh God! Oh damn! Get it out of fact. Anyways, I'm looking at the stat line from the Portland-Orlando game the other day. Mo Bamba had played 22 minutes, shot 1 for 6 for 3-point land, which is
terrible.
Which is egregious. I'm looking at it, I'm like, ooh, Jesus, why?
Why are you shooting 6 threes? Why?
Like, no, dog, no. Just because Vooch gone don't mean you take up that slack down low to shoot threes. No, sir. I was just like baffled about that. But to your point, you bringing in Carter, into the fold. You got Mo Bamba in the fold. Like you mentioned, you playing Birch 30. Who's gonna be the odd man out? You gotta see, who you gonna keep in the fold. Is it Carter or Mo Bamba? Don't disrespect the Birch, but you got 2 high lottery picks in the same draft, mind you, playing the same position. You gotta see who you got. In my eyes. Vooch going to Chicago. Hey, I give them this. They did what the Boston Celtics never want to do. Is turn some of their young draft capital to a proven veteran. And, try and make a push for the playoffs or kind of fill out their roster better. But with Mo Bamba, you just gotta let him walk. Don't match no contracts in the summer. You just gotta let the man walk.
Mm-hmm.
You screw the pooch with him. Like you mentioned, you had other guards that you could have taken at the time. You should have took. You mentioned Shai Gilgeous. Could have taken him. Colin Sexton. He seems like he's coming to his own this year.
Oh my gosh! Don't even, man. Go ahead. I'm listening, but damn, go ahead. It just
so
all these people we missed out on.
So you got those guys, just for example, coming to in their own. And then, like you mentioned, Jonathan Isaac tore his ACL, but you give him a big contract extension. Marquette Fultz. We still don't know what's going to be like for him. What is he going to be like? You gave him an extension. Now he's out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. That's just like you mentioned, they rebuild every 4 or 5 years, but don't want to go all the way with it. If you're going to rebuild, go all the way. Don't have no big money in the books. Like you're on the hook with Fultz and Isaac down the line here. Just go on for a rebuild. Tear it down. Keep you on the keep. And just do it that way.
This is what you're going to hear in a couple of years. Sorry to interrupt, but this is what you're going to hear. And I don't want to jinx it, but it's going to be possible. The Magic are looking to trade Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah,
remember, we just had a conversation about 00 Aaron Gordon. He just signed an extension. He just had on Twitter saying glad to be back in Orlando, and he just got requested to be traded, and they sent him on his way to Denver.
Yeah, you know, oh, good move. Anyways, Fournier going to Boston. If Vooch went to Boston, I'll be praising I'll be praising Boston right now because they need that low. They needed that low scoring threat.
Well, what would you give up for him though? That's the only problem. I think that's the reason why. I honestly think that's the reason why Vooch didn't go in the package deal to Boston because Vooch would be a great pickup for Boston. But what are you willing to give up, and what is Orlando willing to take? I'm not giving up Jason. I ain't gonna lie. I probably ain't giving up Jaylen Brown. I know Vooch is who he is, but at this point, it seems like Kemba is taking off every couple games. You don't know what you're getting out of him. You know Marcus Smart to be who he is, but Jaylen Brown is clearly an all-star. I'm not giving him up for Vooch. Or Jason Tatum. Hell no. That's off the book.
That's the thing. I think, people have criticized Danny Ainge over the years. You got these assets and draft picks and young players, but you never did anything with them. And it seems like every time an opportunity comes up to get a player like this, like a Fournier or Vooch or whatever, you don't make the move. Who they trade away? Daniel Tyus. I have him in the deal. I know. I know they probably didn't want to give him up, but you may have to sacrifice Marcus Smart in that deal to get a Vooch. A couple first round picks and maybe another young player and go about it that way. In my eyes. But if Boston had made that move, I already singing their praises.
Yeah.
And then, if you get Kemba back healthy and him playing straight, you got a nice four-headed monster going, trying to make a push for the playoffs. Now, you get Fournier for Boston. He plays well. Sometimes he could disappear. But I think with Boston's bench, besides Marcus Smart, there ain't too much else there. Those young guys they had picked up in the past couple drafts really hadn't, contributed like they hoped. Now you kind of scrambling to make, these type of moves. In which, in hindsight, you should be making these type of moves a couple years ago. In my eyes.
Yeah. But hell, you seen how the fire sale was going for Orlando. Hell, everybody wanted to get involved. The Lakers was trying to, hey, y'all over here giving up, solid players for 2 second-round picks. Hell, hey, what y'all gonna do for Terrence Ross? Like, people were trying to chime in. So, for me, I don't know if people seen it. I know I tweeted it. After I seen this trade, Evan Fournier to Boston for 2 second-round picks, I was like, well, damn. Did the Magic just all of a sudden turn to an NFL team? Because, second-round picks are important, I guess. But in the NBA, they're not as important as it is in the NFL. So, for me, again, some of these moves, you trade Eric Gordon. Now, I ain't going to lie. I kind of did like the Eric Gordon move. Because R.J. Hampton is going to be pretty solid, I believe. Gary Harris, if he could stay healthy, he's a hell of a defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I really like him to be a great. He could play the two guard perfect. But if you can get him, R.J. Hampton, now you're full at the guards, right? You got R.J. Hampton, you got Gary Harris, you got Fultz, and you got Cole Anthony. Well, hell, do you go get Cade Cunningham? You know what I'm saying? Do you like if he's there? Because if so, now you about to go trade somebody else. So, and that's the thing about basketball that's different than, NFL is, or football is. If you're at the number 1 pick, I think you go get Cade Cunningham. And the reason why is because I think he could make that big of a difference on your team. So, but again, some of these trades, It's not bad. The Denver trade, I guess, wasn't too bad. Hell, I didn't like the Boston trade. I ain't gonna talk about that. That just upset my stomach. The Chicago trade, because I, have that basketball knowledge, thankful for us talking about it so much, and FanDuel and me watching. I know what kind of player Wendell Carter can be. So I don't think that was a super duper bad trade, and I think you got to protect the top 5 pick. But again, the problem that I have with this is we're rebuilding again, bro. Like, how many times are we gonna do this? We've been rebuilding since Shaq left. We've been rebuilding actually since Dwight Howard left. The one year we went to the NBA Finals, when that year when we beat the Cavs, when it was supposed to be LeBron against Kobe in the NBA Finals, we went that year, and ever since then we've been rebuilding ever since.
And that's the tell. Dwight has left. It's just been a free fall in a sense. Yes, the team has made a couple playoff, bids, but just winning 2 games in those playoff bids doesn't do anything for your team. And plus, you were at the 7-8 seed in those playoff bids, at the time. I'll touch on the Eric Gordon, the Nuggets here. I think, this could be a good move for him. Playing with Vucevic, the way, he spaces the court, passes the ball, and Eric Gordon, can move about the basketball, stuff like that. I think that'd be a good fit for Denver. I think, the main thing for Denver, can Vooch be that clutch player? Not Vooch, Aaron Gordon, can he help out in the clutch?
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes, in which he kind of struggled with shooting and stuff like that.
He's gonna have his debut tonight too. So, he's gonna. I think he got his debut with Denver today, but to me, to be honest with you, I like Eric Gordon, but I see him as a franchise changer. I don't know if you did. I didn't see him as a complete franchise changer to be extending him like this dude is like gonna just make a huge difference. So,
no,
but
I didn't see it either.
The best one.
No, I didn't see that either. And then plus, he kind of fell into that Derek Williams coming to Arizona. Like, what position? And coincidentally, they both came from the same school.
Mm-hmm.
What position he's going to be in the league? Is he a 4-man or 3-man?
Well, hell, the past couple of games or so far, he's been playing the backup. We've been hurt so much in the guard. He's been playing the backup guard for us for a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like he never finds true position, and despite all his athleticism, it seemed like he never, put it together in a sense. In my eyes. But, I mean, talented player, but a guy that in the scoring pecking order, you want him like your 4th scoring option and not your top 2 in a sense. And I think, like I said, I think Denver's a good fit for him for that type of role. In my eyes. But,
Fournier got a good spot, though, too. Where Fournier is at, I feel like that's a very good spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, we're, like I said months and months ago, we're rebuilding again. Oh, my God. Like, I'm tired of this. It's like people were literally okay with us just getting to the first round of the playoffs and like, okay, that's cool. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd hate to say this too. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of Steve Clifford over the next year or two. I hope we don't. But if it happens, I'm not going to be shocked.
No, I won't be shocked either. And I'll finish this up here. I'm pretty sure you agree with this. Like, management on down for the past few years for the Magic has sucked. I think you probably agree with that. It's like the decisions they have done, it has sucked. You know, I know they're trying to address the point guard situation, drafting Alfred Payton, Victor Oladipo, and Oladipo becomes an all-star elsewhere. Payton really didn't work out. I just think from the top, you got to find the right people in that front office, and then hopefully everything trickles down into player development, and there you go, baby. And then things will work out that way. But if you don't got a strong kid at the top, GM wise, team president wise, then you can be staying on this same rut of development for your team. So
yeah.
So
I don't know what we're doing, man. Hey, I'm just going. This reminds me when we had Lovie Smith in Tampa. This reminds me when we had Greg Schiano in Tampa, and we were just going like 2-14, 3-13. I was pissed every year that we were drafting top 5, top 10. I was like, hey, I'm gonna just ride the wave out no matter what. This is my team. I'm doing the same thing with the Magic. The same exact thing. So hopefully, even though NFL and NBA is different, but hopefully we can find that Tom Brady top player to go to the Magic and make a big difference. But I'm gonna still, wear my Penny Hardaway jersey, and hope things go well for us.
And we'll just leave it on that, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of the other things we couldn't get to because I think the Magic were made players in the trade deadline, so we definitely have to talk about them. But thank you for tuning in with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to us. I know the Sweet 16 is going on. Bama and UCLA are in a dogfight right now. Yeah, I saw that, Terry. Lakers got Drummond, but we had enough time to dive into that. But
we'll touch on some of this stuff next week.
Yeah, we definitely will, and see how Drummond fits with this team without LeBron and AD in the fold. But D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
Black-813. Like I said, you guys definitely check me out. I've been tweeting a lot of stuff, especially during the trade. I was going like crazy. Saying a lot of stuff. Keynote too, this is NFL. We did have most of our team back, the Bucks. We did get almost everybody. All we need now is AB. But I've been tweeting about that too. But, back to you guys can find me there on Black-813. They'll know they can find you there, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. Please do follow the show on Fastbreak at IESR. That is Fastbreak IESR. Also, I do a show on the side, The Crooks Process. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook on that. Like I said, we'll be back here next week. Potentially discussing Final Four matchups, and we'll see how that goes. And also talk about the league and all that stuff. But tune in. We're out, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.